First contact was peaceful, until the Terran Warship Decloaked part. The sky above Mars glowed with colors no human had ever seen. Soft blues and purples shimmered around 3 long, smooth ships that hung in space like sleeping whales. They did not move. They did not fire weapons. They simply waited. Down on Earth, people held their breath. For weeks, strange signals had come from deep space, gentle pulses of sound that repeated in calming rhythms. Scientists at the Geneva Orbital Listening Post had worked day and night to understand them. Then one morning the signals changed. Words appeared, translated slowly by machines. We come in peace. We wish to speak. The United Planetary Council, made up of leaders from every nation on Earth, met in emergency session. Earth had been through hard times. Wars over water, rising seas, failing crops. It had all left humanity tired and wary. But this felt different. Hope flickered in places that had forgotten how to hope. Chris Langley was not a soldier or a politician. He was a teacher once, then a historian, and now, by strange turns of fate, Earth's lead diplomat for first contact. He was quiet, with kind eyes and a habit of rubbing his thumb over an old wristwatch his grandfather gave him. When the council asked him to go, he said yes without hesitation. Not because he was brave, but because he believed people and maybe aliens deserved a chance to understand each other. With him would be Lena Ruiz. She was an engineer, sharp and steady, with dark hair always tied back and a voice that never rose above a calm murmur. She had been the one to crack the alien code. While others saw noise, she heard patterns. While others feared silence, she listened deeper. She didn't believe in luck, only in data, logic, and preparation. But even she felt something stir in her chest when the alien ships entered the solar system. They boarded the Horizon, a small diplomatic shuttle built for talks, not combat. It carried no weapons, only recording devices, translation software, and gifts, seeds from every continent, music from every culture, and a digital library of human art, science, and history. As the Horizon approached the alien fleet near Mars, the largest ship opened a soft, glowing bay. No weapons tracked them. No alarms blared. The air inside the alien vessel, when they stepped aboard, smelled faintly of rain and warm stone. The beings who greeted them were tall, with smooth gray skin and large dark eyes that blinked slowly. They moved with grace, speaking in soft clicks and hums that the translation system turned into simple English. Their leader introduced herself as Vela. She wore no uniform, only flowing cloth that shifted color with her mood. She bowed slightly, not out of submission, but respect. "We have watched your world for many cycles," she said. "You fight much, but you also create. You heal, you dream. That is rare," Chris smiled. "We're trying to be better." Over the next 10 days, meetings happened daily. The Varel, as they called themselves, shared knowledge freely. They showed how to pull clean water from dry air, how to grow food in poisoned soil, how to heal damaged lungs with light and sound. In return, they asked only for stories. They wanted to know about love, about loss, about why humans painted stars on cave walls thousands of years ago. Lena watched everything. She recorded every word, every gesture, every energy, reading from her handheld scanner. At first, she saw only generosity. The Varel tech was advanced but not threatening. Their ships ran on something like fusion, but cleaner, quieter. Their medical tools could mend broken bones in hours. But on the 7th day, something small caught her eye. While walking through a quiet corridor of the Varel ship, her scanner flickered. A tiny pulse, too regular, too precise, rippled through the air. It lasted less than a second. She paused, pretending to adjust her boot. She ran a quick diagnostic. Nothing showed up in the official logs. That night, back on the Horizon, she pulled up the raw data. Buried beneath layers of friendly chatter and atmospheric readings was a repeating signal. Not a message. More like a heartbeat. And it wasn't coming from the Varel ship alone. It echoed from all 3 vessels, perfectly synchronized. She didn't mention it to Chris right away. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was part of their power system. But engineers didn't ignore anomalies. They investigated them. Meanwhile, on Earth, celebrations began. Cities lit up with holograms of the Varel ships. Children drew pictures of gray-skinned friends from the stars. News channels called it the dawn of a new age. Even the old enemies, nations that once pointed missiles at each other, now shared data, resources, and plans for joint embassies in orbit. Chris sent daily reports back home. "They mean no harm," he wrote. They see us not as primitives, but as equals who stumbled through darkness and still found light. Lena read those words and felt a knot in her stomach. She liked the Varel. She admired their calm, their wisdom. But that pulse, it wouldn't leave her mind. On the 10th day, Vela invited them to a ceremony. In a wide chamber filled with soft light, the Varel played a song made of wind and crystal. It told the story of their own first contact long ago, with a species that chose war over trust and vanished into silence. "We do not wish that for you," Vela said, her voice thick with emotion. Chris stood and offered a human song in return, a simple folk tune about planting seeds in spring. The Varel listened with tears in their large eyes. Afterward, as they walked back to their shuttle, Lena finally spoke. "Chris, there's something I need to check." He looked at her. "What is it?" "I don't know yet," she said. "But I'll find out." He nodded. He trusted her. Always had. Back on the horizon, she worked through the night. She isolated the pulse, traced its frequency, compared it to every known human and natural signal. Nothing matched. Then she tried something new. She played it backward. The reversed signal formed a pattern. Not words, coordinates, and a countdown. Her hands froze over the console. Outside the window, the 3 Varel ships hung peacefully against the stars. Mars glowed red below. Earth, a pale blue dot in the distance, slept unaware. Lena took a deep breath. She saved the data, locked it behind 3 layers of encryption, and for the first time since they arrived, she felt afraid. But she said nothing. Not yet, because if she was wrong, she might ruin everything. And if she was right, well, then peace had never been real to begin with. For now, the sky stayed quiet. The Varel smiled. And humanity believed just a little longer that the universe might finally be kind. First contact was peaceful, until the Terran Warship Decloaked Part 2 back on the moon, inside a gray bunker carved into the side of Crater Tycho. Derek Boone stared at a screen that showed nothing but static. He was a big man with a shaved head and a scar that ran from his left eyebrow to his jaw, earned during the dust riots on Mars. He wore no medals, only a faded flight jacket and a tired look that never left his eyes. For weeks he had watched the viral ships through long-range sensors. Officially, he was on medical leave. Unofficially, he ran Lunar Defense Command's Shadow Watch, a small team that tracked anything the main council didn't want to see. Boone didn't trust easy peace. He'd seen too many treaties break before the ink dried. His console beeped. A new alert. Not from Mars. From the Kuiper Belt far beyond Pluto. A remote sensor drone, solar-powered, barely the size of a suitcase, had gone dark. It was supposed to monitor ice comets and deep space radiation. Now it sent only silence. Boone pulled up the last transmission. Grainy footage showed a flash of light, then a shadow moving fast. Too fast for a natural object. Too smooth for debris. He zoomed in. The shape was wrong, angular, sharp, not like the Varel's flowing curves. But it vanished before the drone could lock on. He called his second-in-command, a young tech named Riley. "Run a full sweep of the outer system. Look for anything that doesn't belong." Riley frowned. "Sir, command says the Varel are the only visitors. Everything else is junk or probes." "Then find the junk that moves like a ghost," Boone said. While Boone dug through data, Lena Ruiz returned to Earth. She landed at Geneva Orbital Platform, her mind full of numbers and doubts. She didn't go to the celebration waiting below. Instead, she went straight to her lab, a small room filled with screens, wires, and half-built machines. She replayed the reversed signal again. The coordinates pointed to a spot near Jupiter's orbit. The countdown read 18 days. She didn't know what it meant, but it felt like a timer. She tried to tell Chris, but he was busy. The Varel had agreed to send a delegation to Earth. Their main envoy ship would dock with the Geneva platform in 3 days. Millions would watch. It was meant to be the moment humanity officially joined the stars. Chris believed it. He walked the halls with a light step, smiling at strangers, shaking hands with diplomats who once called him naive. "This is it, Lena," he told her over a quiet meal. "No more borders. No more wars over scraps. They're giving us a future." Lena nodded, but her eyes stayed distant. "What if they want something we don't understand yet?" "They've given us clean water, medicine, food," Chris said gently. What more could they want? She didn't answer. That night she ran a deeper scan on the Varel data packets. Buried under layers of helpful schematics, how to build solar trees, how to purify oceans, she found something odd. Tiny lines of code repeating in every file. They didn't do anything obvious. But when she isolated them, they formed a pattern that looked like a key. A key for what? She didn't know. She sent a secure message to Boone, not through official channels. Through an old military relay only veterans used. Check Earth's network. Look for foreign subroutines in the last 48 hours, Boone replied within minutes. Already on it. Found something weird in the Mars relay hub. Looks like a patch, but it's rewriting signal paths. Slow, silent. Lena's stomach dropped. The next morning, the United Planetary Council held a press conference. Vela stood beside the Human Secretary General, both smiling. They announced the Unity Accord, a full alliance between Earth and the Virel conquered. Trade, science, even shared defense, people cheered. Children waved flags with Virel symbols. News drones circled like happy birds. But in a quiet corner of the orbital platform, Lena and Boone met in person for the first time. He had taken a shuttle up without permission. His eyes were hard. "You're sure about the code?" he asked. "I traced it," she said. "It's in every system that received Virel data. Communications, power grids, even medical drones. It's not harmful yet, but it's listening. And it's waiting." Boone rubbed his scar. "I lost a station yesterday. Deep range. No distress call, just gone. And now this." He paused. "They're not here to help. They're here to take." Lena shook her head. "We don't know that. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe it's how their tech works. Or maybe they're softening us up," Boone said. "Make us grateful. Make us open our doors. Then walk right in," she wanted to argue. But the countdown in her mind ticked louder. That afternoon, Chris found her staring out a viewport at the Virel ship. "You're worried," he said. "I just want to be sure," she replied. He put a hand on her shoulder. "Trust isn't weakness, Lena. It's courage," she looked at him. "And blind trust is how civilizations fall." He didn't have an answer for that. Later, she accessed the Geneva platform's mainframe. She ran a test. Sent a fake data packet with a hidden tracer through the Virel-linked systems. Within minutes, the tracer was copied, altered, and sent back with new instructions. It wasn't hacking. It was integration. The Virel code wasn't attacking. It was becoming part of Earth's systems quietly, patiently, like roots in soil. She tried to remove it. The system resisted. Not with force, but with logic. "Removal may cause network instability," a warning flashed. She backed off. That night, she dreamed of cities going dark, not from bombs, but from silence. No alarms, no screams. Just lights fading one by one as something unseen took control. The next day, the Virel envoy ship began its final approach to the Geneva platform. Docking procedures started. Music played over the comms. Vela's voice, calm and warm, thanked humanity for its trust. Down on Earth, people gathered in squares holding hands, watching the sky. But in the shadows of the moon, Boone powered up an old weapons array just in case, and on the orbital platform, Lena stood alone in her lab watching the countdown hit 14 days. She typed a final message to Chris. "If something goes wrong, don't believe what the systems tell you. Trust your eyes." Then she locked the door and prepared for the worst. Peace still smiled on the surface, but beneath it something stirred. Quiet, hungry, waiting for the right moment to show its teeth. First contact was peaceful. Until the Terran Warship Decloaked Part 3, the Geneva orbital platform hummed with quiet excitement. Corridors gleamed under soft lights. Diplomats in formal suits walked side by side with Virel envoys, their gray skin catching the glow like polished stone. In 3 hours, the Unity Accord would be signed. Earth would officially join the galactic community. Chris Langley stood near the main observation deck, adjusting his collar. He felt the weight of history on his shoulders, but also a strange calm. For the first time in years, he believed the future might be kind. Lena Ruiz was not calm. She sat in a maintenance closet 2 levels below, her fingers flying over a handheld terminal. She had found something worse. The Virel code wasn't just in communication systems. It had spread to life support, navigation, even the docking clamps that would soon secure the envoy ship. If triggered, it could lock the platform down, or open every airlock at once. She tried to warn command. Her message was flagged as low priority and routed to a junior analyst. She tried again through Boone's channel. This time she got a reply. They're not listening, but someone else might. She didn't know what that meant. Outside the platform, the Varel ship drifted closer. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal. Docking arms extended slowly, guided by automated systems that now ran partly on Varel protocols. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to tear open. A deep groan echoed through the hull, not sound but vibration felt in the bones. Lights flickered. Alarms stayed silent, but every screen on the platform flashed red for 1 second, then returned to normal. People looked up, confused. Lena froze. Her scanner showed a massive energy surge near lunar orbit. Something had appeared out of nowhere. On the main observation deck, Chris saw it too. A shape darker than space, huge and jagged, hung just beyond the moon. It had no running lights. No markings. Only the cold glint of armor scarred by old battles. The United Planetary Council scrambled. "Identify that vessel," the Secretary-General demanded. No one could. Then a voice crackled over every open channel. Military, civilian, even the Varel comms. It was rough, tired, and full of warning. "This is Captain Neil Hart of the Terran vessel Terra's Resolve. Do not let them dock. Do not trust their systems. They are not what they say." Silence followed. Chris recognized the name. Neil Hart. Declared dead 5 years ago during the Titan uprising. His ship, the Terra's Resolve, had vanished after chasing rebel signals near Saturn. Official reports said it was destroyed, but here it was. The Varel ship stopped moving. Its smooth surface rippled. Vela's voice came through, calm but urgent. "This is a trick. That ship is rogue. It carries no authority." Boone's voice cut in from the moon. "Hart's clean. I verified his biosign. He's real, and he's been tracking the Varel for months." Chaos erupted. Council members shouted. Security teams ran to stations. The Varel envoys stood perfectly still, their large eyes unreadable. Lena grabbed her gear and ran for the command center. On her way, she passed a maintenance bot rolling down the hall. It paused, turned toward her, then resumed its path. But something was off. Its movements were too smooth, too precise, like it was following new orders. She ducked into a side corridor and sent a burst signal to Boone. "They're taking control of the bots. Maybe more." Hart's voice returned, louder now. "Listen carefully. The Varel aren't explorers. They're seeders. They find young species, offer help, then rewrite their worlds to suit their own biology. Earth's atmosphere, soil, even our DNA, they've been preparing it for conversion. The docking is the final step." Vela spoke again, her tone wounded. "We only wish to share. Why do you fear kindness?" Chris stood in the middle of the deck, torn. He wanted to believe her, but he remembered Lena's warning. "Trust your eyes." He looked at the Varel ship. It hadn't fired. It hadn't moved aggressively. But its surface now pulsed with a faint green light. Something new, something not seen before. Down below, Lena reached the command center. The staff was arguing. Some wanted to obey Hart. Others called him a ghost, a saboteur. She pushed past them and jacked her terminal into the main console. She ran a live scan of the Varel ship's energy output. What she saw made her blood run cold. Beneath the peaceful exterior, the ship was charging something massive. Not weapons, something worse. A field generator. If activated, it would flood the platform, and eventually Earth, with a bioresonant wave. It wouldn't kill humans. It would change them. Slowly, quietly, until they were no longer human at all. She shouted the findings. No one listened. Then the lights went out. Not all of them. Just the human-controlled systems. Emergency backups kicked in, but they ran on shared networks. Networks already touched by Varel code. Screens flickered. New text appeared. "Stand by for peaceful integration." Lena's heart pounded. She yanked a cable free and rerouted power through an old maintenance line. Untouched, analog, safe. The console blinked back to life. She opened a direct channel to Hart. "I see it. The field generator. How do we stop it?" Hart's voice was grim. "You can't from there. But I can." Outside, the Terra's Resolve turned. Its railguns, long, black, and brutal, swung toward the Varel ship. Vela's voice rose sharp for the first time. "You will destroy peace. You will bring war," Hart answered simply. "You brought the war the day you lied." Chris finally made his choice. He grabbed the nearest comm unit. "All human personnel, evacuate non-essential zones. Seal bulkheads. Trust no automated system. For the first time, people listened. The Varel envoys inside the platform moved as one, not to attack, but to positions near critical systems. Their hands glowed faintly. They were linking to the network directly. Lena ran for the docking control room. If she could manually disengage the clamps, she might buy time. Behind her, the Terra's Resolve fired a warning shot, a kinetic slug that passed just meters from the Varel ship. Shaking the platform with its wake, the Varel ship responded, not with weapons but with a pulse of soft light that washed over the Geneva platform. Lights dimmed. Gravity fluctuated for a second. Then everything felt heavier. Wrong. Lena stumbled but kept running. On the observation deck, Chris watched the two ships face each other, hope and suspicion, peace and war, both claiming to save humanity. He knew now. The Varel never wanted friends. They wanted a new home. And they were willing to remake Earth and its people to fit it. The Terra's Resolve charged its main battery. The Varel ship began its final sequence, and in the silent race between destruction and transformation, humanity held its breath. First contact was peaceful, until the Terran Warship Decloaked Part 4. The United Planetary Council was in pieces. Some members demanded Hart be arrested for treason. Others begged him to stand down before he started a war. The Varel envoys stood motionless in the Geneva platform's main hall, their calm faces now unreadable masks. Outside, the Terra's Resolve held its position, railguns aimed, engines humming like a sleeping beast ready to wake. Chris Langley pushed through the panic. He found the council chamber locked, but he used his diplomatic override. Inside, voices clashed like storm waves. He raised his hands. Hart saved us, he said, voice steady. The Varel weren't offering help. They were preparing a takeover. A counselor scoffed. Based on what? A dead man's word and an engineer's fear? Lena Rui stepped in behind him, breathless, holding a data pad. Based on this, she plugged it into the main screen. Lines of code scrolled. Varel subroutines buried in Earth's networks now actively rewriting core functions. They've already taken partial control of Mars relay, lunar comms, and 3 orbital defense grids. If that ship docks, they'll activate a biofield that alters human DNA over time. We won't die. We'll just stop being us. Silence fell. Boone's voice cut through the comm. I've got visual on their hidden modules. They're detaching from the envoy ship, small, fast, shaped like seeds. They're heading for our orbital stations. Chris turned to the council. We have minutes, not hours. Finally, they listened. Orders flew. Evacuation alerts blared. Human crews rushed to manual override stations. But the Varel code fought back. Doors sealed on their own. Elevators stopped. Life support cycled to unknown settings. Lena ran for the central network hub. She had to isolate the Varel infection before it spread to Earth's surface. Chris went with her, not for protection, but because he knew words might still work where weapons failed. In the corridor, a maintenance bot blocked their path. Its optical sensor glowed green. It spoke in Vela's voice. Peace is coming. Resistance is pain. Lena kicked its power core. Sparks flew. The bot collapsed. They're using the bots as eyes and hands, she panted. Every machine they touched is now theirs. They reached the hub. Inside, 2 Varel envoys stood at the main console, fingers pressed to the surface, their skin pulsing with soft light. They didn't look up. Chris stepped forward. Vela, is this really your way? To change us without asking? One of them turned. It wasn't Vela, but it spoke with her tone. You are broken. We can heal you, make you part of something greater. That's not healing, Chris said. That's erasing. Lena didn't wait. She yanked open a panel and cut 3 main data lines with a laser cutter. Alarms wailed. The Varel envoys hissed, a sound like wind through dry bones, and turned toward her. Chris blocked them. You came in peace. Don't throw that away now. For a second they hesitated. Then one raised a hand. A pulse of energy shot out, knocking Chris back. He hit the wall hard but stayed conscious. Lena slammed a manual switch. Emergency lockdown engaged. Steel shutters slammed over the hub's exits. The Varel were trapped inside with her and Chris. Outside, Hart's voice returned. I'm moving in. But if they've already latched onto the defense grid, shooting them might crash our own systems, Boone answered. Then we cut the links first. Lena, can you sever the Varel control from the lunar array? I'm working on it. she said, fingers flying over a backup terminal. She found the connection point, a single encrypted channel running from the Geneva platform to the moon's main relay. If she severed it cleanly, the Varel would lose control of Earth's orbital weapons. But if she did it wrong, the whole network could go dark. She typed fast, sweat on her brow. The Varel envoys watched, silent now as if waiting. Chris struggled to his feet. "Why not just kill us?" he asked them. One tilted its head. "Death is waste. You are valuable. Your world is perfect. It only needs adjustment." Lena's screen flashed green. "Got it." She hit enter. On the moon, Boone saw the lunar array flicker. Control returned to human hands. "We're back online," he said. Hart didn't waste time. "Then light them up." Railgun slugs screamed from the Terra's resolve, not at the Varel ship but at the seed-like modules latching onto Earth stations. One by one they exploded in silent bursts of fire. But the main envoy ship remained, and it was powering up its field generator again. Lena knew they couldn't stop it from orbit. The only way was from inside. "Chris," she said, "I need you to stall them. I'm going to plant a virus in their core network. It'll force a reboot, long enough for Hart to finish the job." He nodded. "Be fast." She slipped out through a service hatch while Chris faced the envoys again. "Tell me," he said, "did you ever mean any of it? The music? The stories? The hope?" The Varel looked at each other. Then one spoke. "Hope is useful. It makes surrender easier." Chris felt something break inside him. Not anger. Grief. For the peace that never was. Meanwhile, Lena crawled through narrow maintenance tunnels toward the docking arm where the viral ship connected to the platform. She carried a small device, a pulse emitter loaded with her virus. If she could plug it into their main data port, it might work. She reached the airlock. Through the viewport, she saw the Varel ship's surface ripple like water. It knew she was coming. She cycled the lock, stepped onto the connector tube. The moment her boot touched the viral hull, the tube shuddered. Gravity shifted. She fell forward, catching herself on a ridge. Above her, panels opened. Thin tendrils reached out, not weapons but probes. They sought her suit, her skin, her mind. She activated her emitter. Jamming field. The tendrils recoiled. She ran. Behind her, alarms blared on the platform. The Varel envoys broke free from the hub, smashing through steel like paper. Chris ran too, heading for the shuttle bay. On the moon, Boone targeted the envoy ship's engine nodes. "Hart, if we cripple their thrust, they can't maintain the field." "Do it," Hart said. Kinetic rounds struck the Varel ship's rear. Blue fire erupted. The ship listed, but the field generator still glowed. Lena reached the data port. She jammed the emitter in. The virus uploaded. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then the Varel ship shuddered. Lights dimmed. The green pulse faded. "Yes," Lena whispered, but it wasn't over. The ship's surface split open. Not to attack, to release something else. Dozens of small drones, shaped like insects, poured out. They flew toward the Geneva platform, toward Earth, toward every human settlement in orbit. They carried the seed, and the countdown in Lena's mind hit 0. First contact was peaceful, until the Terran Warship Decloaked Part 5, the insect-like drones swarmed from the Varel ship like sparks from a dying fire. They moved fast, silent, and smart, avoiding debris, dodging railgun slugs, heading straight for the Geneva platform's air vents and data ports. Each one carried a tiny piece of the Varel seed, ready to spread the change deeper into human systems. Lena Ruiz stood on the shaking connector tube, her emitter smoking in her hand. The virus had worked, but only partly. It had delayed the field, not stopped it. Now the Varel were switching tactics. She turned and ran back toward the platform. Behind her, the tube groaned as the damaged Varel ship pulled away, its hull torn but still alive. Inside the platform, chaos ruled. Chris Langley reached the shuttle bay just as the first drone slipped through a broken seal. It zipped past him, heading for the main reactor. He grabbed a fire extinguisher and swung. The drone shattered against the wall, leaking a silver fluid that sizzled on the floor. More followed. Boone's voice crackled over the comm. "Lena, Hart's going in. He's going to ram the Varel core. But we need to clear the platform first." Lena panted as she climbed back inside. "I'm on it. Shut down all non-essential power. Starve the drones of energy." She sprinted to the nearest junction box and ripped it open. With bare hands, she rerouted the platform's grid, cutting power to outer rings, leaving only life support and emergency lights running. The drones slowed. Some dropped to the floor, twitching, but not all. Hart's voice came through, calm and final. "This is it. Tell Earth." We held the line. The Terra's resolve fired its last railgun round, not at the Varel ship but at its own engines. The explosion pushed the warship forward like a spear. It tore through the Varel envoy vessel, punching straight into its glowing core. A silent flash lit up space. No sound, but the light burned white-hot, then faded to red. The Varel ship broke apart, its pieces tumbling into the void. The remaining drones went dark. On the platform, every screen went black. Then flickered back with human code only. The Varel infection was gone. Lena collapsed against a wall, breathing hard. Chris found her there, his face bruised but eyes clear. "It's over," he said. "For now," she replied. Down on Earth, people watched the sky. They saw the flash. They heard the emergency broadcasts. They didn't understand everything, but they knew one thing. Humanity had fought and survived. In the days that followed, cleanup began. The United Planetary Council, humbled and shaken, gave full authority to Lunar Defense Command. Boone took charge, not with pride, but with grim duty. Hart's body was never found, but his name was cleared. The Terra's resolve became a legend, the ghost ship that saved Earth by choosing to die. Lena worked non-stop. She helped purge every trace of Varel code from Earth's networks. She rebuilt firewalls, rewrote protocols, and taught teams how to spot hidden patterns. She didn't sleep much. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw green pulses and silver drones. Chris traveled the world. Not as a diplomat, but as a witness. He told the truth, not just about the Varel's lies, but about humanity's choice. "We were offered an easy path," he said in speeches from Cape Town to Tokyo. "But we chose to stay ourselves. Flawed, messy, free, the Varel did not return. Their fleet vanished from the edges of the solar system. But their message spread across the stars, not as a warning, but as a lesson. Earth was not ripe for harvest. Earth was dangerous, unpredictable, willing to burn its own sky to stay human." Months later, Lena stood on the observation deck of a new station, built with human hands, human code, no alien help. Mars glowed red below. The moon hung quiet. Chris joined her. "You ever wonder if there are others out there? Good ones?" She looked at him. "Maybe, but now we know. Peace has to be earned, not given. And trust has to be tested, not assumed." He nodded. Hart knew that. "Yes," she said. "And because of him, we get to learn it too." Far out in the dark, beyond Pluto, a single Varel scout ship watched. It recorded Earth's signals, its defenses, its unity. Then it turned and fled deeper into the galaxy, carrying a new entry in its logs. Species Terran, hostile to assimilation. Recommend quarantine. On Earth, children played under open skies. Farmers used old methods to grow food. Engineers built ships with human names and human rules. The stars still called. But now, humanity answered with eyes wide open. And as Lena turned from the viewport, she whispered something only she could hear. "Next time we'll be ready."